Rising Storm is a standalone expansion for Red Orchestra 2, which means that it is multiplayer standalone content which can be purchased, and with that you will also get Red Orchestra 2 multiplayer. So what we're going to see here today is 4 of the maps that we are featuring, and I'm hoping that you'll get an idea that there are 4 very different environments here. It's not all just about desert islands and so on. We're also going to be seeing some of the extra gameplay features which Rising Storm is going to bring to the Red Orchestra 2 experience. So let's jump straight in now and see the first map, which is Saipan. Okay, so here we are, spawning as a member of the US 4th Marines on the island of Saipan. The Marines went in about June 1944, around about the same time as the D-Day invasions. And what you can see here is a very urban environment. With the Marines advancing towards the sugar mill. A very iconic feature of the battle is the sugar mill there. That's the final objective for the Marines in this map. As you can see, the guy's firing an M1928 Thompson, and a couple of the other guys have semi-automatic or automatic weapons as well. We can see here the M1 Garand. We can see that guy's got an M1 carbine, and of course the Americans also have the bar. That's been kind of one of the biggest challenges really for us as a team, is how are we going to balance 2 teams which are fairly asymmetrical in terms of their equipment loadout. We're now going to spawn as a Japanese guy inside the sugar mill. As you can see, he's got a rifle. Most Japanese did. They had a rifle. If you like playing with rifles, you'll like playing Japanese because they've got some pretty cool Arisaka rifles here. But we've added some other features as well to make people want to play Japanese, and you're just about to see one of them here. This is the railway depot outside of the sugar mill, and you can see, well, there you can see some of the sugar cane in the truck, and the Americans are advancing now towards the left. In fact, there are some coming through this warehouse right now. Okay. The guy's taken out a grenade. What he's doing now is planting it as a booby trap. These things have a percussion cap on the end, which means that they make very nice improvised explosive devices, IEDs. So let's sit back and see what happens, although I think you can probably guess. Round about now, he's just trod on the device. Here we go. Okay, you'll notice there are a lot of TWs and RSs in the names at the top. That's pretty much the state of the project at the moment. Tight cooperation between Tripwire and the Rising Storm team. Now we're moving on to the next environment. This is Betio. This is a very small island in the middle of the Tarawa group, the Battle of Tarawa. This time we have the 2nd Marines. They're actually going up against the Japanese Marines, the Special Naval Landing Forces. So we have here a Marine versus Marine encounter. As it's such a small island, the Americans' job is basically to push the Japanese from one end to the other. Again, the Americans are on the front foot in this engagement, but that isn't always the case. Okay, as you can see now, the Americans are just about to take this objective. Okay, so they've taken it. They're now pushing on forwards to the next objective over there, about 130 meters away. This is where we're going to see the first, or another one rather, of the features which kind of help the Japanese out a little bit. The Americans moving directly towards where they believe the enemy to be. You can see they're getting suppressed. A couple of the guys taken out. There's a machine gun on their flanks. This guy has spawned in a spawn bunker. Now, a spawn bunker is a randomly appearing location where the Japanese can spawn, generally a bunker or a pillbox, something like that, behind or to the side of the American lines. So the Americans, as well as advancing, have the task of finding and clearing out these bunkers. Now, it looks like these guys have just found one here. And they're going to deal with it with a special delivery. There we go. Satchel charge. Okay, so they've cleaned out that bunker. There's no more Japanese going to spawn from that one. They can now move on, pushing the Japanese towards the end of the island. Now the Japanese are in fairly desperate straits here, and this is when they very commonly would want to use the banzai charge. Banzai charge is when you get a group of meleeing infantry charging towards the Americans. The banzai effect, as well as making them scream like lunatics, is that they suppress the enemy. They also feel less suppression themselves, and they get an additional stamina boost. Generally, basically, they become real badasses, as you can see. Okay, we're moving on now to a Japanese assault. This is Honto River in New Guinea. What you've got here is a Japanese commander in the Imperial Japanese Army sending his troops across the river towards the US Army, who are dug in on the opposite side. They've got a very sort of heavily fortified position there, a couple of heavy machine guns as well. So they're going to be slowing the Japanese down unless they can be dislodged with some artillery. See, there's quite a heavy suppression effect here with the amounts of artillery and bullets flying around from those machine guns. But the Japanese are going to manage to take this, I would say. Okay, moving on from the trenches, you can see the Japanese moving deeper into the jungle. You'll notice there's a lot of heavy vegetation around. This makes for some very tense gameplay, because basically the bush right next to you could have an American in it, as you see. Okay, after a respawn, we've got the Japanese commander again. You'll notice that he's firing a submachine gun. That's fairly rare. In fact, it's pretty rare for Japanese soldiers to be using submachine guns. This is a Type 100. Like just about every Japanese weapon ever made, of course, it can use a bayonet. So it looks like they're clearing the Americans out of the village now, and yeah, we're moving on to the mangrove swamp towards the end of this map. Here the Japanese are wading through the swamp. It's fairly heavy going. Okay, let's return now to Iwo Jima. You can see some offshore bombardment here as the Americans hit Mount Suribachi there in the distance. They hit that quite heavily. These guys are the 28th Marines. They were the first guys on the beach, on Green Beach. And they're moving across now. You can see this guy, he's a squad leader with the M12 trench gun. Quite handy for close encounters. They've run into a Japanese pillbox. That's what we call a woodpecker, the Type 92 heavy machine gun. You can hear the distinctive woodpecker sound there. Okay, I mentioned earlier about American ways of clearing out pillboxes and bunkers. Here comes the second one. Flamethrower. And another flamethrower. Okay, that's producing volumetric flame effects inside that bunker. That is not a nice place to be in there right now, as you can see. Thank you very much for watching my presentation of the standalone multiplayer expansion for Red Orchestra 2. This is Rising Storm, and the Rising Storm will be available to you early next year.